This is a very special series about innovation. People and companies coming up with brilliant ideas and solutions and then building them across this country. Welcome to Australia by Design Innovations. This is one of CSIRO's testing facilities here in Newcastle, which means that when there's a new piece of innovation that needs scientifically verifying, this is where it all happens. A little further south of here at Sydney's CSIRO headquarters, we've gathered a group of design industry leaders to judge each of our innovations we're featuring in this series and to select the very best to go through to our final.
Our international judge, Dan Harden from Whipsaw, is straight out of Silicon Valley, and it really gives another perspective on our Australian judging processes.
Australia is producing design that's absolutely on levels that Europe is, or United States, or any place around the world that really has high design values. So keep it up, congrats, keep going. You guys have a massive future in design.
Let's get started with a simple device for transforming an amateur into a professional.
Creating great content for vlogs or TV shows requires good technology. This next innovation is going to make creating content really easy.
It's okay, Brett, I've got this. I'm going to film this on my phone. So many of us today use our phones to film stuff. Real estate agents, online YouTubers, bloggers, and that's cool, because the quality of these phones is actually very, very good. However, there is one problem. So, Ryan, what is the problem?
So, Paul, the problem is poor quality audio. Now, the reason I brought you down here today to a cafe is because this is the typical environment that you might find somebody shooting with their smartphone.
So what do we have here?
So this is the Rode Wireless Go. It's the world's smallest and first truly wireless microphone system. Now, I'm actually wearing one right now on my shirt. And to show you how it works, I'm just going to clip it straight onto you. It has a microphone inbuilt, and you can pair two transmitters for a two-person interview to one receiver.
So Ryan, this feels like audio geek heaven to me.
That's right, I'll take that as a compliment. This is one of our audio studios that we use here at Rode to listen to our products and the recordings that we do with our microphones.
So you've got a mic, Ryan, I've got a mic. What does this do then?
Right, so the microphones that we're wearing are actually wireless transmitters with microphones inbuilt. And what they're doing is they're sending the signal to this receiver unit right here that I can then connect onto either a camera or even a smartphone like this. Gotcha. I can simply slide it on like that, and then I get my cable and I can plug it in.
I see.
And then I have very high quality professional audio going straight into my smartphone.
Even I can do that?
Absolutely.
So surely that's a mini production studio.
Exactly right. Now, normally to get professional quality audio like this, you would have a sound guy with a whole bunch of complicated equipment that's running directly into the camera like we're using today. But with the Wireless Go, it brings very high quality audio directly onto a smartphone or a camera. And what's even better is that it's the smallest wireless system in the world.
Sorry, Jules, I won't need you for this part, mate. I love this device. It's simple to use, it's affordable, and the best part is I think it will liberate a whole new generation of budding filmmakers.
Next, another amazing Australian medtech innovation.
The designers of this product have actually used deep insight into real clinical needs to actually improve patient safety while reducing waste.
Medical imaging is such an important part of healthcare these days that radiology labs just like this are almost as prevalent as supermarkets. But it's important to know that these are not hospitals, so good equipment is vital to ensure proper hygiene. Now, Mick, Richard is one of the engineers behind this, right?
He is, and that demonstrates his confidence in our design.
I like that. What I want to know is, this is an old system, it looks pretty new to me.
Well, this one probably installed about 5 or 6 years ago, but this design has been around for about 20 years.
And so what's wrong with it?
There's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of manual steps involved in changing over these parts here.
And all that waste goes into this bin?
It does. And when you're doing this changeover, the bits that stay there, there's a possibility of somebody touching them. It's a thing known as aseptic technique.
And so with this, there's no more bin.
You still need a bin, but the amount of waste is much less. You're only really throwing this away per patient. Everything's self-contained inside the machine, so touching points and so on are much reduced.
Yeah, amazing.
Pretty much anybody could start it here.
Could I? This sounds quite sinister, but in a strange sort of way, I wouldn't mind injecting some iodine into our engineer. Are you ready, Richard? Sure. This won't hurt a bit. I feel like a doctor. So this is the hard-working, high-tech part of the studio, yeah?
Yeah, this is where we do a lot of our testing. This is the heart of Santago. And This is a disposable syringe set that basically does all the pumping of the fluids. When it was injecting me, I was getting the fluid from these syringes into my body through these lines. Yeah, this device is an air detector. The critical part which enables the automation was the fact that we could detect air to prevent any air getting into me and killing me. So it's a safety feature.
Incredible. Yeah. I wouldn't like to have your insurance.
We had the opportunity to go and actually do proper research, and taking those insights back here with all the brain power that we have here, we were able to uncover sort of opportunities to create innovations like the Santago machine.
Did you ever think that you would end up saving lives?
No, well, not really. Well, not when I started. I started actually in a different industry, but I'm glad I made my transition into medical devices.
I've got to ask, where did you start?
I actually started in gaming.
Really?
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. That's where I started my career.
You've got to be happy about this change of career, right? Santago demonstrates not only the power of good research and good design when it comes to keeping us safe and healthy, but also the strength, ingenuity and diversity of Australian design. After the break, installing a backyard swimming pool just got a whole lot easier. We've gathered a group of design industry leaders at the CSIRO to judge what are the best innovations in Australia for the year. Now we head to Queensland for an exciting development to the humble backyard swimming pool.
Plungy have made it so easy to own a pool. What a clever way to ensure quality and to do it in such a short time. Not months, not years, but in days.
A swimming pool. You dig a hole in the ground, you fill it up with water. How hard can that be? And yet these guys took out the Good Design Award Best in Class for basically reinventing the humble backyard Australian swimming pool.
With pre-modular construction growing in Australia each year, we think that 80% of all swimming pools in the next 5 years will be prefabricated, such as this one. From the very start, we stripped back what a traditional swimming pool was. We brought to market a more sustainable option, so less water usage, less electricity usage, and then also even the concrete materials that we use that contain 90% less carbon. Right here in Southeast Queensland, we design, develop, and also manufacture all these products. So this, for example, is the best skimmer box on the market, which we manufacture right here in-house. This is an Innosphere, which is recycled Coke bottles, single-use items, recycled into a product.
Hang on a sec, this big chunk of plastic here gets turned into your actual filter.
You're correct. So that is basically an oversized Coke bottle.
So what he's doing here is using a thermospray application. So in layman's terms, a powder coating gun for swimming pools. It's classified for potable water, so it doesn't leach any chemicals like calcium in from the concrete. With the benefit of 90% less carbon, we gain 30% more strength. It's highly resistant to acids and highly resistant to chlorines, which is perfect for swimming pools.
This is a revolutionary approach to the concrete pool game that nobody else is doing. Add to that their waste lock technology and low carbon concrete, and you have true design brilliance. Hey, you little!
This designer has turned her passionate commitment to reducing waste from takeaway meals into an attractive and a functional product. This would be a great and a sustainable gift idea.
Reusable coffee cups, water bottles and shopping bags are commonplace these days, even expected. But until now, there's been something missing off the sustainability menu. Veronica, tell me about how you came up with your initial idea.
I was working quite a busy job, so I would often eat my breakfast, lunch and dinner at work, and my personal rubbish bin was often full of food packaging waste. And when I walked around the office, I realised that my colleagues had the same problem. That was where the idea of a reusable takeaway food container was born.
It has become a common problem that you head out for lunch, grab some takeaway food and bring it back, and it doesn't generally get washed or cleaned, it's thrown away.
That's right. It's an opportunity to really get people thinking about ways that they can reduce waste and giving people a simple solution that they can implement immediately. And we wanted something that people feel really proud to be seen with, something they can personalise.
You'd be proud to pull that out and say they can take it home.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a reason that we're at this particular cafe in Bendigo, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. We were lucky enough to be awarded the Waste Reduction Grant by the City of Greater Bendigo.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we're rolling out a really exciting project here as part of that grant. The council has purchased, effectively with the grant money, 1,000 retubs to then gift to cafes within the council region, and those cafes then gift the retub to their customers. And in the process, they engage in a conversation about sustainability and the whole bring your own container movement.
You're really being leaders in this field.
Yes, that's what we're trying to do. So it's important for our community to know that we really care about the environment and we're really serious about it. So this is a great way to do it.
The cafes need to have control over the hygiene. So what we've done is set up participating cafes with extra inner containers. I simply come into a participating cafe and they will swap me. They take my dirty one and they give me a clean one. And it's that quick, that simple. They wash the dirty one in their own time. I retain all the parts that I personalise, but I've now got a clean container and the cafe knows that they're putting their food into something clean as well.
So you solve that hygiene problem by doing that.
Right.
And the important thing with a project like this is getting it off the ground, because in order to swap and change out, you've got to have it in circulation.
That's right, yeah.
That's a very good start.
Yeah, thank you, we're thrilled.
Looking after our environment and reducing landfill is a responsibility for each and every one of us. Passionate people like Veronica are making it easier for everyone to play their part.
Imagine being able to ride your wheelchair on the beach, on a gravel road, even in the snow. How good would that be?
Australia's made great progress in accessibility over the years, but for a nation that lives on the beach or in the bush, there's a huge part of our lives that's just out of reach for a lot of people. So Ryan, I thought this product was born out of a university project, so why are we in St Kilda rather than at RMIT?
Well, before we get to the technical stuff, I'd like you to meet my friend Hoy, who can give you an insight in what it's like to be a wheelchair user in Australia.
Could you give us an idea on what it's like to be like this every day?
In Melbourne, it's pretty good. I'm able to, catch the train or the tram, and I can do it by myself. So generally, it's pretty accessible.
Oh. Oh no. Okay, that is not moving anywhere.
Yeah, well, it's pretty generally accessible until you reach the beach like that, and then you get pretty stuck.
So Ryan, Hoy already sent me on my adventure and I sort of understood a bit of the problem. Yep. Can you explain to me sort of what you've done to address that?
And so we looked to some current solutions of what's already available, like a big balloon tyre, or played with the idea of a tank track, but that idea is not portable at all. So the design, I guess, came from nature, where we were inspired by the spreading out of like a gecko foot, which increases in surface area.
All right, so this is the finished product then?
Yeah, so it's super flexible, so someone can squish it, carry it in a small backpack, pull it out when they need it, and simply slip it straight over the tyre like this.
Yeah, so you can put it on yourself then?
Yeah, someone in the wheelchair would just put it on, roll the wheel around, and then just simply clip that closed like that.
Isn't that fantastic?
And off you go. It all looks very simple here, but I think the best way to test it would be to head down to the beach.
All right. Oh, see, no, that is much better. You can actually move. It's still a bit tricky, but I've got it, you know? The simple appearance of this product really hides the complex design thinking that goes behind it, and the huge impact that it can play on the lives of many.
After the break, my towing skills are put to the test. Welcome back to Australia by Design Innovations. We are on a quest to find the very best innovation from around the country. And our judges will select just one or two pieces of innovation from this episode to go through to our series final. But right now, let's take a trip to Adelaide.
Milford is all about tow bar technologies, and if you're not into tow bars, just watch the story for Jamie's driving.
The road trip is a great Aussie tradition, but the lack of innovation in one key component has caused a whole bunch of annoyances and some serious safety concerns, up until now. How do you innovate when it comes to a tow bar? I mean, firstly, what's wrong with them?
Well, when we go for a drive, you'll be able to hear some of the noise and the vibration that you get with the tow bar tongue sitting in the tow bar.
Oh yeah, you can definitely hear it now. Whoa. Whoa. I guess...
So seriously, when you go into the caravan park and you go over those speed humps, that's what you're listening to.
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable.
Jamie, that noise that we could hear in the car as we drove through.
Yeah. Oh. I always thought it was going up and down on the ball, but actually it's this sleeve here that's the issue.
Yep.
So Malcolm, this looks like a pretty serious piece of kit here, and you helped develop the whole thing through the university, right?
Yes. So when I started here as part of our undergraduate program.
Should we fire this puppy up?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Obviously the old system, right? So that's the old system.
It is. It's very loud, as you can tell.
I think we definitely need to hear the new system. Incredible.
Makes a world of difference, doesn't it?
Amazing.
So if you try putting that one in.
So basically it's a more snug fit.
Correct.
Right. And you've got weight going down on top of it.
Yes.
So that solves the noise issue. What was the safety issue?
The fastener itself, in the state of vibration, can come undone.
In the old system?
In the old system.
Right.
What we've got is aircraft quality fasteners.
Right.
And then we have a locking compound in underneath the nut that locks it in place.
Well, it's great to see that these guys are not only innovating within their own industry, but more importantly, that they're actually fostering a whole new round of young innovators coming up with fresh design. And listen, nothing. Peace. Next, an innovation to help talk about mental health.
Talking about mental health is really challenging for most of us. Head to Health is an online portal that provides us with information and tips on how to have the conversations we need to have.
Andrew, what is Head to Health?
Head to Health is the Australian Digital Mental Health Gateway. So it's funded by the Australian Department of Health, and it's designed as a sort of a gateway for digital resources that might be able to help you on a pathway to supporting someone else, supporting yourself.
I come from the lived experience, which means I've had the life experience of mental illness, and this touches people in really real ways. How do we actually help people get the help that they need?
The importance of having people like Ingrid involved in this, and a whole community group of people, is to understand exactly how to sort of build that digital pathway for people.
So show us how it works.
So you can say something like, I'm fighting all the time with my mother.
I do that every day.
And that's it. People don't necessarily think of that as a mental health issue. It could be related to other things.
So then it provides you with a whole secondary set of questions to try and find out the reason behind that. I think that's been beautifully done from a design perspective. And what drew you to this beautiful thing out there called swimming?
I think it was trying to find an additional purpose for my life. I have suffered with mental illness since I was 11, struggled through addiction, lots of depression. I still have anxiety today, and I found that it was a way for me to connect with people and with nature, and to give me something other than just work. Getting over the things that we have to get over when you walk this path is not a solitary thing. It's a team effort. Like, I wandered around bumping into walls, not knowing what was wrong, for such a long time. Have something suggest that could be anxiety, or maybe that could be depression, is very helpful to put you on the pathway to recovery.
This Head to Health website, is that something that you wish you had when you were going through that difficult period in your life?
Pointing them in the right direction is just absolutely necessary, and making it easy as possible. With people today, we're much more geared towards finding a digital answer first rather than a human one. Being able to give that experience to people is just incredible.
I've always believed that good design should have a positive impact on our lives. Head to Health is such a perfect design solution that is helping people in their greatest time of need.
In this series, we've introduced the Freedman Accelerator Award. Peter Freedman will handpick a startup innovator from the series for mentoring and to introduce them to Rode Microphone's business networks on the Australian and international stage. The winner will be announced later in the series.
I'm super excited about the Accelerator Award. I have made every mistake you can in business, and I'm going to help somebody not make those mistakes.
Coming up, Brandon goes off-roading with a caravan in tow. Welcome back to Australia by Design Innovations. Which projects will our design industry judges select to go through to the final? Time now to go bush with a caravan.
The Track T4 off-road caravan does exactly what it says. Anybody who's tried to drag a caravan with their four-wheel drive into the scrub, through creeks, will know what I'm saying. This will do it.
We hear a lot about manufacturing in Australia being on the decline. I don't buy that for a second. It's the smart manufacturers who really get design who are succeeding.
We design everything from the ground up, including our chassis and suspension system, which we've been developing over the last 20 years. This allows us to overcome things like bump steer.
Bump steer?
No, bump steer. When most traditional suspension systems hit a bump, what happens is that wheel is moved rearward as well as upward. And the effect of that is it steers the camper or caravan in that direction. What we have is what we call self-steering geometry. What happens is as that wheel goes into bump, it also tows in, which allows the trailer to track straight and behave well behind the tow vehicle.
So I guess that's a massive innovation.
Yeah, you hardly know the van's on behind.
You really have to use your suppliers to produce quality parts that we can now assemble, like the Meccano set.
And this must be the convertible version, right? There's no roof.
Yes, well, the roof's over in prep just on the other side of the factory. Well, this is the moment where the customisation happens. So, you know, our customers can select from a range of options and decide what configuration suits them.
So every customer really gets to choose their own layout. Wouldn't that just drive you nuts and I guess also send you broke?
Well, it certainly would if you didn't design for it. And so we've very deliberately designed a modular system for this.
This is the finished product.
There's a lot of the features of this van are controlled by an app.
Get out. I can actually control the lights. And there's a thing here that says locking drawers, so...
Yeah, so it would be a huge disappointment to you to arrive at your campsite after a day of four-wheel driving and find the tomato sauce bin rolling up and down the floor.
I'll tell you what, the interior of this thing has impressed me, but it is an off-road camper. Can we go take it off-road?
I think we better. It's got to be able to go where the track takes you, and quite often the track is going to include a water crossing of some description. In this case, it's obviously quite a deep puddle. Okay, so here we've got a bit of a hill. And,
you're all nice and calm. I'm kind of like freaking out here. You know what I love about this is where great design, engineering, and fantastic manufacturing all come together as one.
It's where the rubber hits the road.
It's where the rubber hits the dirt.
Indeed.
Next, a simple problem with a simple solution.
I love when good design thinking is applied to very specific problems. It's simple, it's beautiful, it works, and that's exactly what I want in my house.
Having two teenagers myself, I am very familiar with this next problem. Quite frankly, I wish I'd come up with a solution. This is going to fly off the shelves like grease lightning. Great workshop you've got here, Darren.
Yes, it is. We run a small business that specialises in classic cars. We do accident damage and repairs on the old cars, and it keeps us really busy.
As much as I'd love to chat classic cars, that's not why we're here today.
No, it isn't. I was in New York on a family holiday a few years back now, and I was on my iPad late at night planning the agenda for the following day. Then it come to the time to plug in the charger, and I had a problem.
Battle of the chargers. The kids
Yeah.
left you no room.
No room, different shapes, different sizes. So I went to bed that night trying to think of a way to solve this, and then I had this light bulb moment in the middle of the night. Woke up, wrote it down, and then the rest is sort of history. And this is what we came up with.
Power adapter. Am I missing something?
No. Okay, so the novel thing about this, the simple thing about this, when you plug a device in and it's too big, you can turn it.
Oh my God, that is genius. So when someone's plug doesn't fit next to it, you just turn it around.
Yeah, to the way you want.
And even when you've got a PowerPoint that's too low to the floor or the bench and you can't put the long cables in down the bottom. This
Yeah,
would work
yeah,
perfectly.
anything that's too low to the bench top or ground, you can just turn it whichever way you want to make it not be a problem anymore.
What a brilliant idea. That is so simple. I cannot believe someone didn't think of that before.
That's what a lot of people have said, yeah.
I guess one of the interesting things about coming up with something like this, that once you come up with one idea, then it gets your brain firing and you're coming up with lots of other things. So where to from here?
Well, we're going to develop a power board and travel adapters, and we're going to also do a wall socket.
Sometimes the smallest ideas can have the biggest impact. You don't get much more, why didn't I think of that, than this. But not only did Darren think of it, he made it happen.
And now, time to find out from our judges which innovations from this episode have been selected to go through to the best of the best final later in the series.
When it comes to audio, there's only one guru. Sharing the judging table with Peter is quite the experience. He works out what the industry needs and delivers.
Another tough round of judging with only one innovation being selected from this episode. Congratulations to Wireless Go for making it through to our final for this series. Stick around for more design solutions on Australia by Design Innovation. For more information on any of today's innovations, go to australiabydesign.com.au.